with Southern Shell Creates, and I am here with my very first video. I have been encouraged by many of my friends and family to go ahead and start sharing what I do with you all because it's been my dream for quite some time. I want to be able to share the love of Christ as I craft, and so my goal was to use up a lot of the supplies that I have as I start creating and sharing. I will post on my Facebook page and on my Instagram, which the links will be below in the description box, some of the photos of my craft room and all the stuff that I have to actually use. I have a lot. I love paper. I love to thrift. I love to take something and change it into something that you wouldn't have even thought that it could be. It's exciting for me to be able to step outside my comfort zone and start sharing these things with you. So I have an abundance of paper. I love paper. Love it, love it, love it. And so working with paper, I have a lot of scraps. So one of the first things that I wanted to do was kind of eliminate some of my scraps. So I took a tub of my scrap paper and I created 3 different cards. And I'm going to show you how you can take your scraps and use them to stretch instead of hoarding them and keeping them, but creating something that you can share and give away to somebody else. You can give it as a note card, you can create little sets and give as gifts, but to just keep those little pieces of paper because you love that paper pad, or buying a pad of paper and loving it and not using it, it's like buying a beautiful quilt and putting it on your bed but then covering it all up so you don't get to enjoy it. You want to be able to enjoy and share the love of what you picked out. So I went ahead and went through my scraps and pulled out things that matched in similar colors. Some are from the same paper pads and some are not. But I have put together 3 different designs that are very, very simple, very, you don't need punches, you don't need necessarily a paper cutter. If you have paper on hand, and you don't even need stamps, if you have paper and glue, you can do these. You can bling them up a little bit more like I have on some of these, or you can just use the paper glue and marker. It doesn't matter. These are simple things, basic ways to get started with anything, even if you don't have paper or crafting supplies. If you went out and bought a pad of paper that you really loved and you have some 8.5 by 11 cardstock, which you can get at Walmart, you can create these very easily and actually very cheap. Frugal, budget friendly way to get started to see if it's something that you really like to do on card making side. So the first one I'll go ahead and show you is the square pinwheel. Now this one, if you can draw a line, or if you have a ruler, because I can't draw a straight line to save my life, but if you have a ruler and paper, you can create this cute little note card, and you can even create a set of these cute little note cards and give them away as gifts. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This can even get more fancy. You don't have to leave it simple and plain, but I wanted to give you the basics when you don't need anything but paper and glue. So for that particular style of card, Like I said, all you need is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. Now this one is not white. You can use white. That's the simplest way to get started, is to get a pack of white paper cardstock at Walmart. Nina 110-pound cardstock. You take that, you cut it in half, and then you fold those in half, and you have got an A4 card base. Easy peasy, no problems. What I did here is I went ahead and took white paper and one of the other colors that I was going to use on the front and did a little edge on the inside. This way you or the recipient has a place to actually write their note. So I went ahead and did some prep for this one because this one does take a little bit of time. And you can see here that all they are squares. Easy, easy squares. These squares are actually 1.5 by 1.5 inches. And that's all I did. And you can see here on my board, that's exactly what they are. You can look, and it's 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So the little piece on the inside, I just took 1/8 of an inch off. So it is 1.25 by 1.25. That way it gives an eighth of an inch all around the edges. So I actually took different colors that match this, and I took them in 4 different patterns, and I went ahead and glued them on top, and I went ahead and left one. I mean, this is simple. I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I'm going to take my favorite glue, which is Art Glitter Glue. I get this from May Made It, and I can link their website below as well. Art Glitter Glue is wonderful for gluing paper. It's very quick drying. It does not have glitter in it, but it is quick drying because it is made so that if you do want to use glitter, you can put that down, sprinkle your glitter over it, and it will dry quickly, so that when you pick up your paper, your glitter will be dried to your project, and any of the excess that you've sprinkled on the top, you can go ahead and use over again. But this glue is wonderful. This is actually one of their designer series bottles where they were doing a fundraiser for, I think this one was for St. Jude. The NICU Helping Hands. So they do wonderful things for different organizations that are just helping other communities out there. So that's wonderful. So now I have 8 squares, all that are different, and if you look closely, they're actually, I have 2 with one color base and 2 with another color base, and they're very, very close to the same color. Now on the original, you can see what I did here, and all that is one of these designer paper series, and you'll hear people refer to that as DSP, designer paper series, has a flower in the middle of it. And so I just took a punch and I punched out that flower and I stacked it up on other cardstock. Now you don't have to have a punch. You can actually use scissors and fussy cut that out, which just means that you're going to take a pair of scissors and just by hand go around that as best you can. And then I glued and stacked them so that it would stand out, and you can hear that, how hard that is, and the dimension it gives is wonderful, and it gives just a little pop of dimension. So on this particular card, I went ahead, and if you see here, I took a strip to kind of break up that color on the background. And this is already cut, and it is 2 by 5.5, because when you take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you cut it in half, you then have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 sheet of cardstock. So I'm going to take that and I am going to put just a little bit of this art glitter glue. It does not take much. And the less you use, the quicker it dries, so you want to be cautious on that as well. And I'm going to put it down here and I'm going to line it up to the best of my ability on the bottom, trying to make sure that it is straight as can be. And I'm going to put it down like that, so I know that my bottom is actually straight and flush against that cardstock. And I'm just going to rub, or what they call burnish, this onto the card. Now these pieces of white over here are very simple, and this is what is going to create the background for our pinwheel to actually stay on. This one is 3 by 3, so there's 2 3 by 3 pieces of card on here. Now the easiest way to make sure that this is going to be even is to actually line your first one up and place it like a square in the middle of your card front, middle of your card front there. So I'm going to use very little again, again of this art glitter glue, and I'm making sure I go up to the corners because I don't want those corners to lift up. And I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to set that down as straight as I can. And I often think that the world is crooked because it's not me laying things crooked, it's just the world is tilted. So just remember that. I know I'm a little bit of a goofball, but that's what makes me me. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second 3 by 3. I'm going to also put the glue down, and I'm going to try to center that to the best of my ability, making that lovely shape in the center of our card. And you can see from corner to corner it fits perfectly across there. So I'm going to take my glue corner to corner across the center, and I'm going to take it, center it, edge of my paper, and I'm going to press that down. Simple, easy peasy, ready to roll. There's a lovely card base ready to be decorated in any style you want. Use different colors. Like I said, pick a paper pad that you like. Get a 6 by 6 paper pad. You can pick those up very inexpensive. You can even pick up certain paper pads at Dollar Tree. That would be a wonderful way for you to start and see if this is something you would like to do. So now I want to look at my little squares that I've made here, and I want to make sure that when I'm putting this together that I don't have anything that is going to be stacking up against itself. So I've got, get those on there, and I'm going to start with my top piece right up here. And I think I like that top showing a little bit better, and I can see on my original just how much of these little pieces are going to be showing. So I want the most of my design peeking through there. So I'm just going to turn this over, put a little bit of glue on the back of that little baby, and I am going to just bring it on the inside of that white card. And next, and we're just going to go around in the little pinwheel, and we're going to do it to this one. Now, one thing that I did forget is to make sure I left this side open for a tucking under. And this glue dries very quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this one, this next one right here, is going to leave an opening be this one. Let's see if I can get that lifted. All right. Now this will probably be in vain. Oh, look at there. No, I think it's going to tear. So what I'm going to do is when I get around to that side, I'm going to have to very carefully cut away the edge that I missed and I forgot. It happens. Crafting is crafting, and it happens. Sometimes we move ahead and we forget steps, but I'm going to tell you right now that if you do this card, that first piece, only glue half of it down. Only glue the half of it down so that you have the other side to lift up. And as we get around to that side, I'll show you. And we'll go to the next. And we're going to start with the very same one. We're just going to go ahead and just continue around. And you see this lovely pinwheel starting right here. Pinwheel style, I should say. There is a way to actually do a pinwheel itself, but these little, folding these little squares, putting these little squares on down here is so simple, and you don't need any fancy tools. Now, let's do it that way so we can see that little flower popping up there. And as you see, we've got it covered up almost all the way. And this is where I should have left this piece right here lifted up. So when I put this down, I could have tucked it right on under there, but I didn't. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get my lovely scissors, and I have some wonderful cutter bees. These are excellent little precision scissors, little snips, and I am going to match up here, and I'm going to use this piece right here to actually measure out what is going to need to be cut off. I'm going to get a pencil. Look at my great big pencil. I love it. I think it's just hilarious, but I love it because sometimes gripping for long periods of time really is uncomfortable on my hands, but I still love to craft. So I'm going to lightly mark that, and then I'm going to come all the way to this piece right here where this line comes up. Let me place that back on there, right where it's going to need to be glued down, and right where that piece meets, I'm going to draw a line up. And then I'm going to match up those two lines. So if you can see here, what I've done is I've lined it up here, drew my little line, and then I've lined it up here on this one and drew my line. I'm going to place this right back down where it's going to be glued on. I'm going to take my little template and I'm going to match up those lines. And I'm going to use my scissors to cut this little piece out of there. Now, I am not the best cutter, I tell you. That's why I love my paper trimmers. I love, love, love. If you can see that, that's what makes me giggle. There's the line is right there, but let's see what it looks like. Lining that right back up. You can hear my babies crying for me. I did shut them out of the craft room. And I am going to go ahead and glue that down. And take my lovely eraser here. You can see my lovely little camera moving because I'm attached to the table, so I apologize. And there we go. And now I'm going to take that lovely flower, and I have distressed around the edges of it, make it a little black there to help it pop out a little bit. And I'm going to place that right smack in the middle. And there you have it. Paper scrapped. All my scrap pieces used on this except for the base. And there is a lovely note card set of 2. These would be easy to pop out. All you do is cut down your squares first. You can put these together with any colors. Fun, fun, fun. This particular one was made with circles and just strips of paper and added some bling on it. And this one is also done with just strips of paper and some circle punches. And then these flowers are actually made with circle punches as well. They've just been trimmed out, so I can actually show you how to do those on another video. I used my Nouveau drops on this particular card to help bring in some other colors, and the flowers have been sprayed with the Nouveau Pearl Spray to just give it a little bit of a shimmer on there, so when whoever gets this card, it has just a little bit of a shimmer. And then this one, as you see, opens up in the portrait way instead of the landscape. So you can do it either way. And once again, this one I just added some Dollar Tree gems to it. You take it, and because this card base is dark, I put a piece of white paper on the inside. So once again, scraps. Go on Pinterest. There's lots and lots of card layouts that will show you different ways you can place your paper on your cards, or your DSP, or even cardstock on your card base to build up and use those scraps. I hope you enjoyed my first video. I'm excited to be starting this. Now, my next video, I've got a couple things I would like to share, and one of them will be how to create, this is a hard tag that I made out of paper and cardstock. Now, I've used some other items on here as well, but once again, from my from my stash, things that I've had, stickers, and this is actually baker's twine that I have made a fuzzy flower out of, and I can show you how to do that as well. I really do hope you enjoyed this, and that you will come back and see me again as we tackle our next project, which is creating this wonderful tag. So, once again, Southern Shell Creates. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and now my first video uploaded onto YouTube. Thank you guys, and you have a wonderful, blessed day. And one of the things I would love for you to be able to do is look for the miracle today. There are little miracles happening all around us, and I would love for you to tell me what little miracle you saw today. Thank you, and you have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye for now.